Hey guys, so this video is about this CVA Paramount. It could be the 40, 45, or 50 caliber. We personally have the 40 caliber CVA Paramount, and so going back, we bought this gun about 4 years ago down there with Ryan Hatchet Muley Crazy. And we went in and we were just talking with him. We weren't expecting to buy a gun, and he was just saying how much he loved this CVA Paramount and how good it was shooting for him. And so he was shooting out, I believe he said he was shooting out to 800 yards and hitting a pie plate. And of course he has a scope on it, but just shooting incredibly well with that gun. So we went ahead and just all pitched in and bought this gun together, me, my dad, and my brothers. Figured next time we have a muzzleloader hunt, we'll have a really good gun for it. So fast forward, I get a tag this year for a Colorado muzzleloader deer hunt. So I pull the gun out, dust it off, and start trying to figure it out. So I call Ryan. One of the first things I did was call him and said, hey, on that load, were you using anything specific? Were you using a different bullet? Did you play around with your powder weights or anything like that? And he said, no, I'm using the Blackhorn 209 and I'm doing exactly what CVA recommends. So for my gun, it would be 105 grains by weight and a 225 ELR bullet with the Blackhorn 209 powder. So I'm like, okay, sweet, thank you. So I go out. So for Colorado, you cannot use any sort of magnification on your sight. So I call Arrowhead Precision Rifles down there in the valley in Arizona, and they hook me up with a nice Revix sight, and so I'm ready to go. Got a good sight, got a good gun, and the reviews on this gun are just incredible. People love it. So I go out my first time and I shoot at 100 yards and I hit about 1.5 feet high. I adjust my sight down, I shoot about 6 inches low, I bring it up slightly, I hit bullseye. Third shot, I'm on bullseye, so I'm like, man, this is great. My fourth shot, I shot about an inch higher than that, and I wanted to be zeroed at 200, so I figured that'd be about 2 inches high at 100. My fifth shot, I shoot 8 inches to the right, and I'm like, that's weird. I know I didn't pull it that much. Sixth shot, I shoot 8 inches to the left. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? So I figured, well, the barrel is dirty. So I go home, I clean the barrel, I go out the next week and I shoot again. I go out and I'm using that to seat the bullet. I'm using that little plastic tip that comes with it that you can screw into the tip of your ramrod. So I'm using that because I figured it's going to be nice and soft and it's not going to mess up or gouge that ballistic tip on the end of your bullets. So my first shot, I seat it, everything's good, shoot it at 100 yards. I missed the target by 1.5 feet to the right. I mean, just horrible. I'm like, what is going on? It could have been more than 1.5 feet. It was crazy. My second one, I seat the bullet, and I had watched a video of a CVA rep on how he seated the bullet. And he was saying, when he seats it, he kind of just puts it down there and he kind of feels for like a pop as that bullet is just seating around that powder. And then, you know, there's that cup in the back of the bullet. And he was just kind of feeling it kind of just seating in there tight. He usually felt like a pop. So I was just trying to do the same thing. So I put it down in there, and when I go to pull it back out, that plastic tip had encompassed that bullet and stuck onto it. And it pulled the bullet off of the plastic cup that sits in the bottom. And so now I'm stuck with this bullet on the tip of my ramrod. I'm like, oh no. So I pull it off, stick it back down there, try to seat it lightly around it, and I expected that shot to be wild. And sure enough, it was. I shoot 1.5 feet to 2 feet left on that one. I'm like, okay, I expect that. That's a crazy shot. So my third shot, I take that tip off and figured I was probably seating it a little bit too hard. I'll use a different tip on a new batch of bullets. Take that tip off, put the new one on, shoot the third shot. I shot like 1.5 feet high on that shot. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? My fourth shot, I shot a little lower. I'm like, okay, that's getting in there a little bit. And then my fifth shot, I shoot 2 feet low. I'm like, this gun is trash. What is going on? So I pack everything up. I don't know what's going on. I head back to my house, and in the meantime, I'm looking up videos like, what can I do to fix this thing? And I saw that you can get A different bullet that people recommended was good, but I believe only came in the 50 caliber. So I'm like, that's not even an option for me because I'm on the 40 caliber. So the next week we find out I had burnt a decent amount of points to get this tag because I wanted to go hunting this year. And my brother actually ended up picking up the same exact tag in Colorado on a leftover permit. So instead of me burning my points on it, I went ahead and gave my tag back and gave him the gun and said, okay, good luck. And then now I get to reinstate my points and we still get to go hunting in Colorado on the same exact hunt. So I give the gun to him and now it's his deal. And I'm like, sweet, I don't have to worry about this stupid gun. And so I call Arrowhead Precision and I tell him what's going on with the gun. And he says, well, when you're seating that bullet into the barrel, do you have any soft spots where like as you're pushing it down, it kind of just plunges through in a certain area? And I said, man, I don't remember that. I said, possibly though. And he's like, well, if that is the case, you could have a bad barrel. And as bad as it's shooting, it sounds like that could be the problem. And I said, well, what do I do if I got a bad barrel? And he said, well, you have to send it into CVA and they can put a new barrel on it, possibly if they find that is the problem, but it's going to take you a couple months at least and you'll never get it back in time for your hunt. So he said, what I would recommend is you buy a die cast kit from us and that way you can get the exact bullet that fits the exact diameter of your barrel. And you probably won't be shooting like amazing, like sub-MOA groups or anything, but it'll get you through your hunt and you'll be able to at least go on your hunt. So I looked into how much that would be and that was about $400. And so at the same time, Joseph, he starts calling CVA to see what's going on. And he had went out and shot that week too, and he was all over the place. Same problem I had, with just shooting ridiculously bad. So he calls CVA and CVA says, one of the first things they say is, well, you might have a bad batch of bullets. How about I send you out a new box? And Joseph says, well, I bought 4 boxes of bullets. Can you send me out 4? And the guy's like, yeah, okay. So he sends him out 4 boxes of bullets. And this is going to take like a week we can have to get there. So he goes and he buys a new box of bullets at Sportsman's. But before he buys them, he calls CVA while he's looking at them. Oh, and sorry, to back that up just a hair. The rep asks what the batch number is on the bullets he's shooting. And Joseph says, I don't know, I don't have that in front of me right now. So the guy sends him out the new boxes. He says, be sure you buy a box that has a batch number to it. And I had seen when I was doing my research on it that you can get bad bullets, but it was because the cup on the back of it would be like thicker on one side and thinner on the other. And so because of that, it would make the bullet just go wonky, which makes sense. So I had looked over all of my bullets and nothing had a thicker sidewall on one side than the other. Everything was symmetrical all the way around on all 4 boxes. So I'm like, it can't be that. So he calls CVA while he's looking at the box of bullets on the shelf at Sportsman's and says, hey, do you think I'm giving you this number, is this good? And she says, if it has a number associated with the box of bullets, like a batch number, then that box is good. So he says, okay, sweet. So he buys the box of bullets and he goes out to go shooting again. Well, he had asked them, should we be using this plastic tip that comes with the box of bullets to seat the bullet into the gun? And he didn't mention that it had pulled that bullet out. He had forgotten from the plastic. But the guy said, yes, definitely use that plastic piece for it when you're seating those bullets. Because I was thinking I should probably use the metal tip that comes with the gun when you buy it to seat those bullets, because then it wouldn't, stick to those tips and pull them out. I thought that might have been my problem all along. Something's going on with that. Well, they recommended that he uses the same tip. So he uses the same tip with the same bullet, with the same weight. Everything's exactly the same, but this is just now a new box of bullets with a batch number, and he starts shooting incredible. Like, same holes through this at the target at 100 yards, like putting it through the same hole, just incredible. So that was the problem. The problem is I had bought this batch of bullets online through this reputable company, and they sent me a box of bad bullets that did not have a batch number associated with it, so it must have been an early batch of bullets. The cupping on the back looked perfect, but they set in the tip of the barrel a little bit loose. They were not tight. He said whenever I put the new bullets into the tip of the barrel, they were a lot harder to get down in there, and this old batch was like, you could almost just push it in with your finger to get it flush, and then you take your ramrod and push it the rest of the way. There was no soft spots in the barrel. The barrel was absolutely fine from CVA, but it was the batch of bullets. So even if it doesn't have that, you know, thick cupping on the one side and a thin wall on the other side on your bullet, that's not necessarily always the problem. You can get a batch of bullets that just fits a little bit, just a micro tiny looser in that barrel, and it'll just mess everything up. It was a nightmare to go through, but honestly, it's a good thing it happened, because if we had sighted in with a good box of bullets, and then you go and grab that bad box of bullets and you go hunting with it, you'd have been wounding animals, missing animals, and you'd have been like, what is going on with this gun? Now we know that it was a bad batch of bullets, and be sure that when you do get a box of bullets, those ELR bullets, mine were the 225 ELRs, be sure that you get one with a batch number associated with it, and you should be good. Now my brother is shooting, he shot 480 yards and he was hitting the bullseye with an open sight with this gun. It's just shooting way better than we could have ever expected. So the gun's awesome, everything's shooting good now, but if you're running across this problem where you can't seem to figure it out, check your bullets, and that could be what's going on. So anyways, good luck out there, guys. Hope you guys have some good, successful hunts.